Greetings, Andy Johnson. A quick look at the skills lesson plan for a study skills strategy. The 4 parts, we're going all over each one of these. What exactly do you want students to learn or learn about? One sentence. Everything that follows should support that sentence. Here are some examples for word identification. You can stop the video and look at those. Examples for a study skill strategy, and this is the lesson plan you'll be doing if you're in my class. Students will learn how to use the study skill strategy. One sentence, a statement, or a cognitive process related to comprehension. Stop and look at these. How to compare and contrast, that is a cognitive objective. It happens up here in the brain. Other examples, looking at the graphic organizer. Learn how to use a cause-effect graph. All right? Before you begin planning, make sure you understand the skill and how it's used. These are all cognitive processes related to comprehension. So you have to ask yourself, what are the steps? You will need to break it down and determine the steps. So it needs some think-orating on your parts. But at the end of the lesson, students should be able to perform the cognitive process. Use the graphic organizers for the input, guided practice, and independent practice. Again, at the end of the lesson, students should be able to use one of those graphic organizers independently. Input is list and outline form, which is different from a list or an outline form. All right, it's short abbreviated sentences so you can easily see the structure and the sequence. Turn off the stinking automatic outline function that messes up everything. Include everything that you think students need to know to achieve your purpose. What will you tell them? Explain. If you're going to include questions, include that in the lesson plan. Good discussions do not happen by accident. They must be planned. And you're using kid language, not dictionary language. You will need to explain and model. Think out loud. This is called cognitive modeling. And you need to include a visual of some kind, a PowerPoint, smartboard, or Prezi to make it multimodal. Let the reader know in your lesson plan if the visual you are using is on a PowerPoint, board, poster, etc. On a Word document, you can easily cut and paste a PowerPoint directly onto the Word document, shrink it down so we know exactly what you are doing and using here. Here's an example of support a statement. Identify exactly what you want students to be able to do. You want them to find ideas to support the statement. Here's an example. Dorothy was brave. They need to find examples. Or Dorothy was evil. Find examples in the movie or book to support that. That's what I want students to be able to do. Then you need to decide what the steps are. Break it into steps. These steps will vary according to the age and skill. And again, it's the cognitive process that's important. We're teaching the skill to develop the process so that they do it automatically. Use the graphic organizer for teaching the input, for guided practice and independent practice. Graphic organizer, it organizes the thinking, the teaching. At the end of the lesson, think about what you want students to be able to do. I want them to be able to see a declarative statements and add 2 or 3 supporting details. Now, I do not use behavioral objectives for a variety of reasons, but they become too assessment oriented. Assessment is not the goal when teaching a skill. How do I know if learning has occurred? He said with a whine. We assess another time, another day, another way. But the goal here is to teach, not to assess. Teach and practice mastery never occurs with a single encounter. It occurs over time through repeated exposure and practice. Now you can do this study skill strategy as a pre-during reading or a post-reading strategy. You decide. If it's a pre-during reading, we're going to look for ideas that support the statement as I am reading. Post-reading, we're going to look back to find ideas. It does not matter which one. You decide and you tell us. And again, the goal is to develop the process, to make it automatic. You teach the process to develop the skills so that students do this without thinking as they are reading. Guided practice is structured with a gradual release of responsibility. More you, less them, like a benchmark, baby steps. At the beginning, more teacher, less student, and at the end, it's more student, less teacher. An example, find or write a short story. Oh, you're going to have to find a short story or a paragraph to use for your input and guided practice. And in your lesson plan, identify and include the specific story or paragraph. I have given you some. You can find or create your own. Here is an example of structure, going from more structure to less. Include a statement. In this section, there are two ideas that support this or make it true. Let's see if we can find them. So I'm giving them a short section. Students have to select the two ideas that are true, that support Billy Marble is smart. All right. Structure 2, include a statement, one idea from the word box, and students must find the other one in the text. Okay, so one of these ideas they find, and then they have to find one by themselves. That is a little less structure. Little less structure again. Reading silently, the next section. See if you can find clues that tell us the bus was not safe. Check with your partner. And again, they turn to their partner. A little less structure, a little less teacher. And then 4, read the next section, see if you can find the clues, and the teacher walks around and checks. That's an example of more structure to less. You are providing scaffolding as students are learning. It enables all students to practice the skill and keeps them engaged. You take them through the skill together with a gradual release of responsibility. More teacher to less teacher, and also formative assessment. You get a sense of if they're getting it as learning is forming. More teacher, less student. More student, less teacher. Keep it simple. Independent practice. They practice, reinforce, extend, apply their learning. Practice, practice, practice. It is not to assess. Practice what they've already learned, 95 to 100% success ratio. All students can do it. And often, independent practice looks very, very much like guided practice. They can also practice the skill by applying the skill in an authentic context or activity. Now here's an example of independent practice. I broke it down into sections, and students practice this independently by themselves or with a partner. Keep it simple, simple, simple. The 4 parts: independent practice, purpose, independent input, guided practice, and independent practice.